Hello everyone, you're listening to The Right Side of Gaming. Today we're going to be going over all the green spells in Magic Legends. One of the things about green is you're going to see a lot of big creatures. It really likes playing those big creatures. Also going to have a lot of cards that enable it or take advantage of that, such as your ramp cards to get more mana, cards that will buff your creatures or give them taunt or something along those lines. And you're also going to see a little bit of healing because we can't let white have all of it. To start off with, we have Moorland Ranger, who you can kick. So if you hold down the button when you cast it, you can spend 5 mana total instead of the normal 2, and have it come into play transformed. So normally it is a 2/2, and it'll be a human. If you kick it, it's going to be a 4/4 with trample and transform. So if it's transformed, it's going to deal extra damage. But the big thing about this is a lot of the werewolves bonuses or are able to transform based on the number of wolves and werewolves you have in play. So more werewolves is typically better in a werewolf deck. Next we have Spider Silk Fletcher. Whenever an archer you control deals damage, that creature applies greater snare to the target. And you'll see some archers in various colors. I know we have some in white, we have some in green. Just means that you're going to get this sort of extra CC to reduce their movement speed. And you can really play up a lot of archers if you want. In fact, the next card is an archer. It has a special ability to create a mana orb. So Eldritch Rejuvenator will occasionally just make these little orbs that pop up on the field that you can collect and get a mana back. Some of our mana ramp. We have Saproling Swarm, which will let you summon 3 Saprolings, or if you kick it, if you pay 4 mana instead of the normal 2, you're going to get 5 total Saprolings. We're going to have some cards in here that play off of Saprolings, plus sometimes you just might want to do a go wide strategy involving green. We have Wolfpack that will summon X amount of 2/2 wolves, and you'll see the 2 X's there, so you're paying that X cost twice. So you can summon up to 5 2/2 wolves. You're either paying 4 mana for 1 wolf, or up to 12 mana for 5 wolves. We have Elven Ambusher. Has a special ability to destroy a random nearby standard or weaker foe. So it's not going to automatically kill some of the stronger cards out there, but it will, bump out some of those weaker ones for you. I figure if they get Death Touch, it's only fair that we get to wipe one off every now and then. We have Sporecapped Spider that's going to deal damage over time and apply a stun effect. We have Frenzy Howl Werewolf, and it has an activated ability. So if you draw into it while you already have Frenzy Howl Werewolf on the field, you can pay 3 mana to transform it. So it's going to give all your other creatures greater haste and greater swiftness for 10 seconds when you transform it, so they're going to move faster and attack faster. And you can pay to have it revert back to its human archer form. We have a Virulent Ooze, which has Retaliate, which is really annoying if you're the one attacking into Retaliate. I've learned that one the hard way. Using an AoE and then attacking into stuff that all of a sudden has up its retaliate barriers. Oh yeah, I get bodied fast. We have Guardian Spirit, of our wolf spirits. Whenever you summon it, other creatures you control are going to get a bonus to their toughness for 10 seconds. And when it dies, it's going to make your other creatures stronger. It's going to give them a bonus to their power for 10 seconds. We have Nima Siltlurker. That's going to deal damage, taunt, and apply lesser weakness to nearby foes for 10 seconds. So they're not only going to be taunted and attacking the lizard, they're going to be doing less damage to it. And it has an activated ability. So if you don't want to wait for the special ability to activate, if you draw back into it, you can pay some mana and activate it immediately. We have Spider Nest, that's just going to create spider creature tokens for 30 seconds, every few seconds, and there's going to be a maximum of 5 at a time. And the spider nest itself cannot move or attack, so you're going to basically plop that down, and it's going to generate spiders, but it's not going to go anywhere. Spiders can move, but the nest can't. We have Brood Widow, which will occasionally make 3 more spider creature tokens that'll last for 30 seconds, so you can really do a go wide with spiders as well, as you can see. We have Enormous Baloth. It's going to have Trample, so its basic attacks are basically going to have sort of an AoE. It's a big beefy creature too. And when it's summoned, it's going to deal damage and knock down nearby enemies. Next, we have one of our mythics, Green Warden, which, when it's working as intended, is not giving you a random buff to all your abilities. But it has Trample as well, so it's going to have that AoE basic attack. It's going to buff up your allied Saprolings, so your Saprolings from, say, your Saproling swarm that we saw earlier. Or you can make your own. If you already have it on the field and you draw into it, you can pay 3 mana to create more Saprolings. So as soon as they hit the field, they're going to be 2/2s instead of 1/1s, just because they're also going to benefit from that buff. We have Bloom of Life, which is one of our X spells. You're going to heal yourself and your allies, and you can hold it down to basically spend more mana to increase that value. So you're going to be healing yourself and allies for anywhere from 600 to 6,600, which isn't bad. That's a pretty good chunk. We have Fog, which is going to create a hazard at a target location that's going to prevent all combat damage from your creatures and the opponent creatures for about 8 seconds. So just like in the game, you're going to cast the card and no one takes damage. We have Giant Growth, which you'll notice in here costs 2 mana instead of 1. You have to remember some of these, that they're a little bit different from the card game, but it still is going to give you +3/+3. Except that this time it's a specific creature. It's going to be your highest combined power and toughness. So your biggest creature out there is going to get the bonus for 8 seconds. We have Hunt of the Apex. Creature you control with the highest power. So you're not necessarily the highest combined, but just the straight up highest power. It's going to deal 200% of its damage and taunt nearby enemies. And if you don't control any creatures, it's still going to do damage. So it's not going to be a wasted card if you're not having any creatures in your hand or out yet, or if they all get destroyed. We have Rampant Growth, which is going to give you greater mana regeneration. So while you're in combat, you're going to get mana back faster so you can cast more spells. You are going to come out ahead in mana. We have Elven Assailant. It's going to create a hazard that deals damage over time to enemies inside of it. And the enemies in the hazard are going to have lesser snare. So they're going to have a reduced movement speed. We have Gift of Reincarnation. So for 8 seconds, your creature with the lowest current health percentage, so not total health, but whoever has the smallest health bar remaining, is going to gain Regenerate. So that when it dies, it's going to come back. You have Amalgamate. You gain 20% of your maximum health and a shield for 8 seconds, plus an additional 3% for each point of toughness your highest toughness creature has. So you're going to take a look at your highest toughness creature. If it's, say they have 7 points of toughness, you're going to get 21% extra shield, so up to 41% there. And you can always buff those up. However, the shield has a cap at 50% of your maximum. So anything past toughness 10 on your creature, so this is going to be 20% plus 10 times 3 for 30, 20 plus 30, 50%. Anything higher than 10% toughness is just not going to count. But you gotta really work to get some of these creatures up there to 10 toughness. So I think you'll be okay. You have Nourish. You're going to heal yourself and nearby allies. You're going to heal immediately and then have a heal over time. You have Invigorating Boon, which is going to give your strongest creature a bonus to their toughness and then heal it and taunt it. So it's going to be a little sturdier and healed up right before it taunts. And if you control no creatures, you're going to get less resistance. So you're going to take less damage yourself. So again, it's one of those where it works if you have creatures out, but it's also going to have an effect if you don't. We have Animalistic Fury. For 8 seconds, you have lesser swiftness. You're going to have a increased movement speed. Your secondary and utility ability recharges twice as fast. So for me on keyboard, that's my Q and my E. And you're going to deal 50% additional damage with your primary ability. That's your basic attack. We have Cloak of Seeds, where for about 30 seconds, whenever someone attacks your creature with the highest toughness that you have, or at least at the time of casting it, you're going to create a Saproling token. So you can pump out more Saprolings, especially if you can pair this with one of our effects that is going to make that creature taunt everybody. We have Refreshing Glade, which is going to create a hazard at the target location, which normally you think hazard means bad, but in this case, hazard is going to heal your allies. It's kind of a weird wording, I realize, but I guess it's just what they're going to call sort of the AoEs and effects that we create that stay on the field, regardless of whether it is a positive or negative effect. We have Mighty Bellow. It's going to give up to 3 allied creatures at a target location +6/+6, and it's going to divide it equally among the creatures. So it's going to give +6/+6 if it's only affecting 1 creature, +3/+3 to each if it's affecting 2 creatures, or +2/+2 each if it's affecting 3 creatures. So you can play around a little bit with where you place the sort of AoE to make sure you get the right number of creatures affected. We have Stampede, which is going to create a hazard in a line in front of you. It's going to deal damage over time to enemies inside of it. We have Choking Overgrowth, which is going to root enemies at a target location, so that's going to keep them from moving. And then it's going to create a hazard there that deals damage over time to enemies inside of it. We have Rampage, one of our mythics. It's going to deal damage to enemies in a line, and it's going to deal double damage to those enemies if the total power and toughness of creatures you control is greater than or equal to 25. So for example, if we pop out one of our big 7/7 creatures, that's going to be 14. You pop out a bunch of 1/1s, you need like 25 of those. You're really going to have to play around with how you get to that number, but I think it is doable. It just rewards you for having either a bunch of small creatures, or probably a little bit more likely, a bunch of big creatures. Or occasionally, maybe a bunch of smaller creatures, but with an active buff affecting all of them. We have Cultivator's Bounty. For 30 seconds, whenever you cast a creature spell that costs 5 mana or more, gain 1 mana. So it doesn't reduce the cost, but it is going to refund you a little bit back if you're playing those big creature spells. We have Essence Bond. So for 30 seconds, any healing you receive is also granted to your creature with the highest combined power and toughness. You can heal yourself and heal your creature even if your effects normally only heal yourself. We have another one of our mythics, Rebirth. For 30 seconds, whenever a creature you control dies, you're going to pay 3 mana, and if you do, you're going to regenerate that creature. So basically, it's a way to keep those creatures in play. Finally, we have Show of Dominance. For 30 seconds, whenever you cast a creature spell, a creature you control with the highest power deals 200% of its damage to the strongest nearby foe. So it's a way to really pump out the creature damage if you're playing a lot of creature cards, especially with some of those big creatures in there. That's all we have for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you'd like to leave a like, comment, subscribe, that'd be great. If not, that's okay too. Either way, I hope you have an awesome day, and I will catch you next time.